Welcome to the Portland Culinary Podcast on Portland Culinary Radio. I'm Steven Shomler, your host. I am just so delighted for this episode, I cannot tell you. Welcome my dear friend, Paolo Calamai. Did I get that right?
That's correct.
Oh,
yes.
I always seem to mess it up, but I have been cheering you on since you first got to the United States.
Thank you.
And it's just a beautiful story. I love what you do. So you are the chef and the founder of Burrasca. I think one of the best Italian restaurants in Portland, if not the entire Northwest. Absolutely love your food, and I cannot wait for people to hear your story. It inspires me. I almost tear up every time I hear it. I absolutely love it. Okay, so you started out as a food cart. When did your food cart open?
It was August 2013.
August 2000, and you got a lot of publicity over that first year.
It was amazing, yes.
Cart of the year by different entities, and I remember I was so excited for you.
Yes, things were hard, but it all happened very fast, and it seemed like they follow up on, our cooking, my cooking, and they kept coming, and people kept talking.
Okay, so that was June of 2013, or July of 2013.
It was the car was open in July, August. Excuse me.
August, yes.
August.
And then about 2 years later, June of 2015, you opened the restaurant on Clinton and 21st, same name. You had the Burrasca food cart, and I have the Burrasca Restaurant.
Correct.
So it took you about 2 years to make that leap from food cart to brick and mortar, which is really hard to do.
It was.
But going back a little bit, where were you born?
In Florence, Italy.
Florence, Italy, in the region of Tuscany, the glorious town of Florence. My sweetheart absolutely loves that.
Yeah.
And someday I'm going to go back there and I'm going to meet your Florentine family. I'm so excited for that, I can't tell you.
I hope to be there. I can probably walk you around. Yes, I hope to.
Okay, and where did you go to high school?
I did the Scuola Alberghiera, which is a culinary school. State Culinary School of Florence.
Because they don't have a traditional high school system in Italy. So you did middle school, and then from there you went to a culinary school that also gave you some boring high school subjects.
Correct, yes.
Okay, and then and no mascot there, no mascots like we have here.
No.
So that no football team.
We have our soccer team, but it's part of the city. So
or as
Fiorentina.
Yes. Or as people who live there would say, that's real football.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and what year did you come to Portland to, moved here?
That was June 2013.
June 2013, and
Yes.
you moved to Portland to open a food cart.
Yes.
So that you could open a restaurant.
Well, eventually,
that was the goal, right?
There was a goal, and there was the plan, and yes, it all happened very fast. The move, I had to look right away for something to do, so I had to look for a food cart. That's my first idea was that, and the city was thriving as always with food carts. So I was excited. I was thrilled. I was ready to work on it myself, get my hands dirty. So, yes.
That's the thing I love is that you moved from Florence, Italy to Portland, Oregon, not just to open a food cart, but open a food cart and build a restaurant.
And eventually step into
I love the audacity of that. I love it. Now, you're a very humble man, but I can celebrate you that it was incredible. Okay, but the first time you came to America, when was that?
Oh, we go back at 1983.
1983. So you in your 20s, and you took a month-long holiday?
Yeah, there was actually a dear friend of mine from Florence, and because my mom worked as a maid, as a server for Stanford University back then, I had a chance to meet some of the students at the university, and they all invited me to go and see them in America. So I took that chance that summer with a friend of mine, and we traveled east and west coast, and we stayed with his students that were there.
And I remember one of the things you told me that when you first visited the United States, then you kind of were blown away by the national parks.
It was amazing because I've seen it in pictures, but to see the Grand Canyon as a real, the Sequoia National Park, it was just amazing to see this beautiful, landmarks and national parks. Yes.
So you visited in 83 and you liked it.
Yes.
And then 1993, 10 years later, you moved to San Francisco to work in the restaurant business.
That's correct. Also, a dear friend of mine gave me a chance to work for this Italian restaurant that at that time it was open. It was called Etrusca. and that was part of the Il Fornaio group.
And then we'll talk about something amazing that happened there. But from 93 to 2000, you worked at 3 or 4 different restaurants in San Francisco.
Right.
And where were you at? Front of house, back of the house, chef? What would you
At that time was front of the house. I was trained as a front of the house from school. So I always worked, most of the time as a server. Then I ended up working for a dear friend of mine in another restaurant. He was the chef and owner of Antica Trattoria, Ruggero Gadaldi, dear friend. And at that time, I became a manager. So I was, handling the private little event or buying wine or doing that.
But all that time, you kind of wanted to be in the back of the house. You wanted to be a chef.
I've always had that itch since I was a kid. Since my grandmother, was cooking there. My grandmother was rolling gnocchi or making fresh pasta. Would be around the table or under the table trying to steal food.
So is that where your cooking journey began? Cooking with your grandma?
I think so.
And how old were you roughly when you started that?
I was probably younger than 10, 6, 7,
Yep.
8.
And I remember you telling me stories of literally standing on a tomato can, a big tomato can, cooking with her.
Yes, try at least to cook. Yes, she wouldn't quite allow me to cook, but she'll be definitely show me the way to cook because I'll be there watching her. Yeah.
And what was her name?
Assunta.
I'm so grateful because I've eaten your food many, many times, and I'm so glad for the culinary heritage that you're bringing forward from her.
Yes.
So what are some of the dishes she taught you to make then when you're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old that you still make today? Tell me about some of those dishes.
Well, the one that stuck to my mind is gnocchi that actually she will call topini or little mice. Because they're tiny little rolled and they look once they're nested together they look like little mice. So the gnocchi will be just simply rolled and tossed in the water and just a beautiful meal to get. Polenta that she will do in the winter, beautiful. They'll be hard. So warming in your stomach with the beautiful sauces like a bacala sauce or other cooked vegetable in a nice gravy. Any fresh pasta also that will be rolled not by machine, just by hand because she didn't have any machine, but that will be stuck in my mind to see how.
So she taught you to make fresh pasta?
Yes.
Wow, what a gift. Yeah. What a gift. Because it's on one hand not that hard to make, but it's hard to make it really good, in my opinion.
Yes, you have to work, especially when you work with your hands.
Yeah.
If you rely on a machine, it's a little different. You can always touch and taste it, make sure that the texture is right. But when you deal with your hands, it becomes really a skill that you need to get.
So skipping back to 1993, you come to San Francisco and you're working, what was the first restaurant?
Etrusca.
And that is where you met who later became your fantastic bride and partner in restaurant crime.
Correct. Yes.
Elizabeth. And she is amazing. Elizabeth, you're listening to this podcast. I celebrate you. You're behind the scenes making so many amazing things happen. Can you imagine trying to do your restaurant without her?
Oh, it wouldn't have been possible now because of she does basically promote everything or talk about everything that I might be busy within the restaurant, but if you don't, she does a lot of work.
She does a tremendous amount. Okay, but when she first met you, she wasn't so sure about you. Is that right?
Obviously, she was. She would look at me in the dining room like this guy's looking at me too. She's staring at me. He's staring at me like, what does he want? And finally, I proposed her to go for a picnic one day, and she accepted. And from there on, I started cooking food for her. So,
and that's what won her heart is your amazing cooking.
That's right. I started making the gnocchi that she didn't know that were supposed to be so light and tasty. From her youth, where she grew up in Michigan, she thought like they were lead balls. And polenta and ribollita and fresh, even just a simple fresh tomato sauce over fresh pasta. She was blown away when I made that for her. Yes.
Okay, so our journey together actually begins before I even met you. It was 2013, and I had done some filming for the Italian Market food cart.
Correct.
Which at Belmont Station. And so I did that filming. It was a lot of fun, and Italian Market food cart's no longer around, but it's kind of funny that it was the Italian Market food cart that I first heard about you.
That's right.
And so I'm eating one of the great sandwiches, and I'm having a beer at Belmont Station, and a stranger who I did not know then, who now I know, Mark, a wonderful person, and he says, "Hey, are you looking for a good story?" And I go, "Yeah, oh yeah, always." He says, "Well, I have someone that needs your help." I go, "Who?" He says, "My friend Paolo. He's moving from Florence, Italy to Portland, Oregon to open a food cart and have a restaurant. Do you think you could help him?" And I got goosebumps then like I got now because I so much believe in the American dream.
Yes.
And I said, yes. And I gave him my number. And then I remember a few weeks later, the phone rang and it was a weird number. And I answered it and it was your voice saying, "Hey, Mark said to call you. Can we meet?" And we met at Carte Blanche.
That's correct.
Amazing
Yes.
food cart. Now she's getting ready to open up her restaurant, which is
Yeah.
going to be phenomenal. We had a great meal and I was blown away by you. I remember I told you something. I've only told a handful of food cart owners, and I've yet to be wrong. I said, "You're going to have a food cart. Your food's going to be amazing. Not only that, but you're going to have brick and mortar." I said, "And I promise you this, someday you are going to have a family and friends evening just before your restaurant opens, and I'm going to be there, and I'm going to cry, and you're going to give me a hug, and it's going to be beautiful." And within 2 years, that actually happened.
Yes, it was amazing. I vividly remember that day, and thank you for always having being there to help me make that first step, but and also having followed the story.
I love cheerleading. I love cheerleading.
Yeah.
You've done a great job. Okay, so what did it feel like when you got your food cart first opened, August 2013? You got here a few months earlier. You bought the old Eurotrash food cart.
Correct.
Which was at the time, back in the day, old school food cart fans know this very popular food cart downtown Portland. You bought his cart. You moved it to Pod 28,
Yep.
29th and Ankeny, just off 28th and Burnside.
Yep.
The cart opens. How did that feel?
There was a lot of excitement. I wasn't scared about tackling little jobs, handy jobs, which you warned me I had. Like you told me, be prepared. You should be a handyman, and it was right. But I just I embarked on this venture of making everything in this small space, and it was tough. It was. Not always ideal in the temperature. Winter will be freezing. The summer will be boiling hot. But somehow we were able to put out food, and people kept coming. So we did it. It wasn't easy, but we did it.
So what was your first winter like?
It was rough.
The first winter in a food cart.
Also there was snow, which people tell me rarely snow in Portland, and it was our first winter here, and I'm like, okay, not to be worried so much about it, but not that I got so worried when I saw the snow. I've seen it before, but in the cart, when it gets to be cold, at freezing temperature, the oil, it's turned into a block of butter. You can't really use it. So yes, it was shocking to see.
Yeah,
yes,
and then you had those special sales days where you'd have $7 for your total day sales.
That's right. It does happen. They told me, hey, when it gets to be like that, you might as well just close and go home. Sometimes it does happen, yes.
Okay, and then just a little while later, that was August 2013, and then June of 2015. So coming up on 4 years for your anniversary.
That's right.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I absolutely love that.
Thank you.
You opened the restaurant.
That's right.
And what was harder, opening a food cart or opening a restaurant?
There were, in both ventures, there are challenges. And obviously the food cart, it's, I don't say a snap of a finger, but if you're ready to work hard and you're just one man, and the restaurant, it's a little more nerve-breaking, I must say, yes. But with the help of Elizabeth, a lot also was we were able to open up and start.
Yeah, and you did a lot of this bootstrapping, and you didn't have a multi-million-dollar company behind you to open your restaurant.
No.
A lot of bootstrapping. And speaking of Elizabeth, one of the things that made possible, I remember I got a phone call from her asking if I would help you make a Kickstarter video for your Kickstarter. And I'm like, oh, yeah, because I'm a video expert. So we got Ken, my video guy, and we made a video for your Kickstarter.
Yep.
And then I remember Elizabeth wanted a song. What was the lyric?
Giovanotti.
Yes.
Giovanotti is the singer, Italian singer, and Mama I don't remember the name exactly of the song, but it was...
Hey, Mama, I'm doing good. Hey,
Yes.
Mama, look at me.
Yes.
And everyone had to sing it in Italian.
Yes.
And I remember I told Ken, we're going to film a video, and then we're going to film another video that's going to be a song. He goes, I can't make a music video with that equipment. What are you talking about? But he did it, and he made it amazing.
It was amazing. It was fun, too.
And what was so much fun is I had not yet met the Unipiper, Brian Kidd, but I called him, reached out to him and said, hey, I'm donating a minute of time. I'm helping this food cart put together a video. Would you appear? And he said yes.
Yes.
So the Unipiper showed up that day, and
was
it's
amazing.
cold out there. We're singing and
Yes.
dancing.
Yes.
And then the Unipiper's going around with flames coming out of his bagpipe.
That's right.
And that's what I love about Portland is, those people came together. In fact, I just did a Portland Beer podcast episode with Brian telling the secret origin of the Unipiper, how he became the Unipiper. But yeah, that would have never happened without Elizabeth picking up the phone and saying, hey, let's make this happen.
Yep.
That was so much fun.
The skill of my wife, she thinks always ahead, and she tries to always get in touch with as many people as possible to get things done.
Okay, June 2015, the restaurant is open. What did that feel like?
Yeah, we opened officially. Actually, it was July 14th. Yes,
2015.
2015. Yes. How it was like? It was. It's again a biggest excitement, and we didn't know. We didn't have no reservation, so we just opened the door. We were like, no open tables, nothing. Just let's see. And people start queuing up at the doors, and it was hard. We had a lot of hard working days prepping. I didn't know what to expect. In the very beginning, I didn't even have a dishwasher. I'm like, I don't know. Do we need it? Do we not? Okay, let's. And right away, we thought, yes, we definitely do need it. So, yes, it was busy right away. We were happy. We brought a lot of the customers that followed us with the food cart. So, it wasn't easy, but we were all very excited to make it happen.
Yeah, I remember my son Zach asked me about, he had to write an article about the American dream, and he's a little discouraged. And I had him talk to you, and he went, oh, wow, it's still true. And your journey was so inspiring to him. He wrote a paper about it in school.
I'm happy that your son got my story as a school theme.
And while I'm at it, I just want to, I grew up in a weird country, the United States, where in my country where I grew up, immigrants have made the country stronger. And thank you so much for coming to my country and making us so much better off by sharing your gifts and your skills.
Oh, well, thank you.
I love it. I love immigrants and everything they bring. It's just
fantastic.
fantastic.
For making it happen. It's hard, but when you have there are chances to be taken and there are possibilities.
Yep.
Then it can happen.
Okay, I love the story. Tell me about where the name Burrasca comes from. Why did you choose the name Burrasca? And that was so much better than La Chinkachenko, I think. Is that right?
I laugh because right away when I show you the name on the piece of paper, I thought it would work, but right away, okay, pronunciation-wise, no, I don't think it does work. So we'll change it. And we had this second. No,
I felt so bad. The first time I met you, I said, no, that name's no good.
It didn't work, so it wasn't right. The perfect one was Burrasca, and we had that as a second choice. Burrasca means sea storm, tempestuous, and it's related to a character of a novel, Gian Burrasca, the collection of story of Gian Burrasca, set in Tuscany, Florence. This kid, troublemaking, tempestuous character, always messing up with people, but love food and love Papal Pomodoro.
Papal Pomodoro, yes. Which I love. Okay, so tell people what Papal Pomodoro is.
Papal Pomodoro, oh my God, my grandmother's been making that soup in the summer for me since I was a very, very tiny little baby, and I love that. Tomato, bread, garlic, basil, olive oil, and a tiny little hot pepper. So you just start, baking this tomato in olive oil and the bread seasoned inside, cooked together, and lots of basil.
It's so good.
And it becomes this thick and tomatoey, but the flavor with olive oil all together, just beautiful.
Yeah. So for those that grew up in Florence or in Italy know it's a children's character, children's books, kind of like Pinocchio.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
but he kind of is, like the reason that the character's name, has the name Burrasca is because he gets into trouble, like
That's
a sea
right.
storm, just like I said, tempestuous.
That's right.
And so the name just sounds cool. It looks cool. I can say it. I think I know how to say it, but then to hear the background story, I think that's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have been to your food cart more times than I care to count. I'd be out going to other carts to get stories and then go eat at yours because the food was so good. I've eaten your restaurant a number of times. I told my sweetheart this morning before I left to do this podcast, I'm taking you there next month. We are going to have an amazing meal. She's going to be blown away. She loves Florence, Italy. It's one of her favorite European cities to visit. I can't wait to take her there. But I want to talk about some of the food and get these people. I want people to go to your restaurant and enjoy it. So one of the things that I absolutely love that you have is your Negroni. It is incredible. It's a cocktail. I love your Negroni cocktail.
Correct. Yeah, Negroni happened to be invented actually in Florence.
Yeah, Negroni was invented in Florence, Italy, which is where you grew up, which makes perfect sense. You'd have a great Negroni at your restaurant.
Right. It was a bartender actually downtown Florence that he was mixing drinks and this customer wanted to something different, and this bartender came up with this concoction of gin and sweet vermouth, and basically it's been known since then, and it had to be on our drink menus. Yes, cocktail menu. Yes.
No, I love it. Yours is so. If you love Negronis, you need to go to Burrasca and have one. If you've never had one, go have one at Burrasca, and then they'll ruin you from any others ever because they'll never be quite as good. Okay,
Thank
and
you.
Then your puffed bread.
Yes, a lot of people's favorite. Yes, that's called crescentine. It's from crescere, which means in Italian to grow. And when you have this dough, soft dough, bread dough, that you have there proof in the side, this little bowl, and then you roll them lightly and you toss them into the fryer. They start puffing up, and they're filled with good flavors, and a good pinch of salt on the top makes it irresistible once you bite into it.
Oh, it's one of the best things I've ever eaten in my life, and that's the thing I don't like going to a restaurant because I want to have like 5 or 6 servings of it. It's just so incredible. I always order 2 just because I have to because it's so incredibly good. Okay, another favorite of mine that I absolutely love is your ribollita.
Yes, that's another known bread vegetable soup that is thickened with bread again, and it has kale. It's beautiful vegetable, an array of beautiful vegetables inside, and makes it so tasty, and so healthy. There's beans, there's potatoes, there's cabbage.
It's just a
kale,
fantastic
yes.
soup. Good anytime. And then you serve it with your bread. You make your own bread.
Correct.
Oh.
Yes.
Goodness, I love it. Okay, and then your pappardelle. Did I get that right?
Fresh, pappardelle. One of the fresh pasta that we do, and hand roll daily, and we just basically serve it with a traditional south of Tuscany, a Maremma region wild boar.
Yeah, wild boar.
So basically, once you have this beautiful sauce over pappardelle, you have to just close your eye. Imagine you're like in a small trattoria in the countryside of Tuscany. Yes.
It is so rich and so good. That and a glass of wine. Oh, it is just beautiful. I absolutely love it, people. And if you've never had wild boar, man, go get it. It is just rich and wonderful.
Yes.
Okay, and you also often have on the menu, you do an incredible pork roast.
Right. We don't have it right now, but I've been featuring for a long time the arista. Arista, it's a pork loin roast that we season with fennel pollen, garlic, and rosemary.
And who was the
Slowly
amazing
roast.
individual that suggested to you the fennel pollen on the pork roast?
Dear friend and the famous butcher of Panzano, Dario Cecchini.
Dario Cecchini.
Yeah,
that is
Dario
such a
Cecchini.
wonderful thing. He's like, hey, use fennel pollen, and you did, and the dish is amazing.
Yeah, it's one addition that it brings up. They use it in porchetta. They use it in a lot of seasoning for roasting meat, pork especially. But it definitely does add a very nice aroma to the roast, to the pork.
Okay.
Once you slice it.
And then inzamino. I had never heard of that dish before. It's just incredible. Tell people about the inzamino.
Inzamino, it was actually the very first dish the Burrasca food cart was talked about. And it to me, I have, again, flavor sealed in my mind, It's a squid. Well, inzimino, it's a preparation that we use also for vegetable, not just meat or fish. We can do tripe in Florence also with the inzimino preparation. In my case, I've been always using squid, calamari, and we cook this with a base of vegetable, wine, red wine, tomato, spiced, and spinach, lots of spinach. So once it's stewed all together like that, it becomes this rich, murky-looking dish, quite dark, but very flavorful. Very flavorful, yes.
Okay, and then you do your gnudi. Tell me about your gnudi.
Gnudi, in the gnocchi family, or dumpling, it's one of the dishes that have been made in Florence, and for a long time, even before pasta occurred. It sounds like they'd been playing with all sort of like a mixture in it, but the traditional one in this case will be spinach and ricotta, and once rolled and made into this nice little dumpling, boiled and seasoned it in case right now in our case on the menu we have it with this white meat sugo, which is made with the chicken, the rabbit, and guinea hen. Will be a wonderful way to serve them, but it's for those who actually love vegetarian option. We serve them traditionally in Tuscany in butter and sage, and those are to me incredible, just even like that.
Oh yeah, I love meat, I love bacon, I love the wild boar, but man, just how you make it with the sage and the butter, it is just stupendous. Yeah. I'll tell you, one of the funnest times I've had a couple different really fun experiences, at your food cart. One, Walter, we're here recording at Carts on Foster, the food cart pod at the Pod Bar, and I took Walter and his two friends. They were thinking of opening a food cart, and they're from Bari, Italy.
That's right.
And they came and asked me, hey, we want to open a food cart. How do we do this? And so I took them to meet you, and they were so inspired, and it was so much fun to do that. But another amazing dinner I've had is a lot of people don't realize that the birthplace of Oregon Pinot Noir, Oregon's known for Pinot Noir, is Hillcrest Winery. A lot of people think it's some other places. That is the birthplace. I was there, one of the media invited, when the historical marker was unveiled of the Oregon legislature. And Dyson DeMere is the owner of Hillcrest, and he's traveled the world and been involved with wine and wineries all over the world. And when I took him to your place, he ordered all kinds of dishes, and he loved the inzimino, he loved the gnudi, he loved the pappardelle. He was blown away. That was so much fun to have a friend contact me who knows his stuff cold, knows Italian food cold, and have him just be blown away by it.
Yes, thank you. Well,
it was a joy. Okay, another cool thing you do is you make your own biscotti.
That's right. Biscotti, traditional of many regions, but in Toscana, they might call them nearby Prato cantucci, little heels, or biscotti, as my grandmother used to call them, because they're cooked twice. Biscotti, cooked twice.
Oh, wow, okay.
And that's what the word means. And so you can have many kinds of biscotti, but the traditional biscotti are, with almonds and simply made like that, just sliced and freshly served like that. It can be Duncan in the sweet Vinsanto and the dessert wine Vinsanto, and it makes them incredible. Yes, it makes an incredible actually end of a meal.
Yeah, because you have some amazing desserts, and that's one of the desserts is you
Right.
get some biscotti and Vinsanto.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. If people like desserts, you have real, authentic Italian desserts that are amazing. You have fantastic coffee there. You just do a phenomenal
Thank
job
you.
with that.
We try to keep it very much like in Italy, so espresso, cappuccino, but.
Yep. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's funny. People sometimes, I hear the complaint, there's no good Italian food in Portland. I hear that a lot. And every person I have sent to Burrasca said, no, you don't know what you're talking about. I think there's a number of great Italian places in Portland, but I send them, when I get that complaint, I send them to Burrasca, and every time they've been blown away.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope more people get to know us.
I do too. And then in the spring, in the summer, in the fall, you have a beautiful little backyard area where people can sit outside.
That's right. When we found this location, we were so glad that in the back, this garage door popped up, and when the season allowed us, and we have this tucked away little bamboo little grove and garden, quiet and perfect to have people sitting out there at night.
Yeah, just a warm summer, warm fall evening.
Yes.
So romantic and so wonderful.
Correct. That's nice.
Okay,
Like it.
so you are 21st and Clinton, right?
Correct.
Yep.
Yes.
And then you're closed on Mondays,
Yes.
but you're open Tuesday through Sunday.
Correct.
And
yes.
roughly 5 to 9, so people come by
Right,
for dinner.
right,
And
right.
well, actually, let me correct
9:30
that.
in the
No,
weekend,
they
yeah.
should not come by for dinner. They need to come by for cocktails and a little appetizer, then dinner, then dessert. That's what they should do.
Of course. Yes.
And then on the weekends, you're open a little bit later till 9:30.
Right. Yes.
And you make the stuff the way that your grandma taught you.
Very much like the inspiration was from my family, my grandmother first, and then obviously by working in different other places, kept the origins of Tuscany on my food preparation every single day. So.
And it's really cool that you make this stuff, fresh in the restaurant. But I remember blown away was when you gave me some of your Tuscan bread, and we're in the food cart, and it finally you told me that you made it in the cart, but I couldn't get my mind around that. And finally, you made this in the wow! And so the things that you start out making in the cart now probably a little easier to make them in the restaurant.
It's right, yeah, because bigger ovens or more hands helping. Yes, I know it was a little crazy for me to come up with this few dishes, but everything was freshly handmade.
Yes, and beautiful. Oh,
Yeah.
and for people not familiar with handmade fresh pasta, that's if they like pasta, they need to go have yours. I just love it.
Thank
I know,
you.
like as you can tell, I'm a huge fan.
Thank
I'm
you.
so proud of you and the continued success. I wish you all the best in the world. Thank you so much, Paolo, for the great food that you've brought. Again,
Thank you for making it happen too, because you did help me in the very beginning. You talked about it, so that must have helped. Yes, thank you.
all right, so I'm a big fan. Thank you for coming on the Portland Culinary Podcast, and I
you.
wish you all the best. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you very much.